Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Kutztown University Athletics Hall of Fame ceremony. My name is Steve Degler, class of 1988, and I will be your MC for this morning's program. Today we welcome 6 new members into the KU Athletics Hall of Fame, including Tiffany Mattiuz Keller for softball, Cyndi Wasilius, women's basketball, Glenn Woolard Jr. for baseball, Seefeldt Carson, women's cross country and track and field, Paul Schmitt, men's track and field, and Coach Brian Mondschein, men's women's track and field from 1993 to 2006. And now to get things started, please welcome Dr. F. Javier Cevallos, President of Kutztown University.
Thanks, Steve. Good morning to all. First of all, before we start, I just want to say a few words about the people that have been affected by Hurricane Sandy. It has been a real tragedy, and we have many students that come from the New Jersey, New York area. Some of them are still without power, so they are in our thoughts and our prayers. I think that this kind of tragedies remind us of how powerful nature is and how small we are compared to it. Anyway, I know that many of you are visiting our rec center, fitness center for the first time. It opens in 2006. As you have probably noticed, it is one of the many new features in this beautiful, beautiful campus. If you haven't done so already, I hope you will take time to walk around, see some of the new structures and some of the new buildings that we have completed, such as the Shouting Arts Center, the whole renovation addition, the art gallery, the academic forum, Dixon Hall that is just behind us, a new residence hall, and some of the facilities that are in the works. You will notice just west of the stadium, we are constructing a new green space to replace the old heating plant. Do you remember the heating plant? Well, when I came to Kutztown, my first dream was to get rid of that. And it took 11 years, but it is gone. So this will certainly add to the landscape of the campus. We're putting a beautiful basketball court out there to an outdoors basketball court and some really nice green space. And also you will notice, of course, in the other side of the campus, our 75-year-old historic gem, Schaefer Auditorium, is being renovated, and we are expanding it as well. And again, it's really important to keep that historical structure intact. It's a beautiful building, so we didn't want to damage that historical facility. It's such a nice place, but we are expanding in the back, so it's a really nice facility. As always, our athletic teams continue to be a point of pride for our institution. This past week, of course, we were all able to relish in that pride as our own Hall of Famer, Ryan Vogelson, helped lead the San Francisco Giants to the World Series championship. What an accomplishment. What a day. Ryan's success and the hard work of many of you in this room this morning have been crucial in building our athletic programs to what it has become today. This morning, 6 of the individuals in our audience will be recognized for their efforts with the ultimate athletic honor granted by our institution, induction in the Kutztown University Athletic Hall of Fame. Our 6 honorees this morning include Tiffany Mattiuz, whose shutdown pitching helped establish our softball program as the regional powerhouse that it is today. Glenn Woolard, who did the same on the mound for our baseball team and joined a group of stellar Golden Bear pitchers to advance to the pros. Cyndi Wasilius stand out on our women's basketball team in the early 90s, setting records and milestones that are still among the top in the program's history. From our incredible track and field and cross-country program, Megan Seefeldt, the only PSAC cross-country champion in school history. Paul Schmidt, one of the most decorated pole vaulters in school history. And Coach Brian Mondschein, who led our indoor and outdoor track and field teams to 18 total championships between 1992 and 2006. Easily one of the most impressive accomplishments in the athletic history of our university. In addition to the performance on the track, Coach Munshine teams were well known for the success in the classroom and accomplishments that continue to be a point of pride of the Golden Bear athletic programs of this day. And our graduation rate for student athletes is 20 points higher than the overall graduation rate for the rest of the student body. So our student athletes are really doing fantastic in the classroom. We're very proud of that. For our 6 new inductees, I am sure that this morning's ceremony will be a time to cherish for you, your friends, your families, teammates, and coaches. I'm truly honored to celebrate this great milestone with you this morning. On behalf of Kutztown University, I congratulate you and thank you for what you have done to continue to do for our athletic program. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cevallos. At this time, we would like to introduce a couple of members who are already in the Hall of Fame who are with us this morning. Would you please stand? Tony Didyoung for soccer and Bob Mushlitz for football. Our first inductee this morning is Tiffany Mattiuz Keller, class of 1996. Tiffany is one of the top pitchers in KU softball history. She still ranks among the program's all-time leaders in earned run average, games, wins, complete games, shutouts, innings pitched, and strikeouts. According to KU softball coach Judy Laws, quoting, "Tiffany helped establish the winning tradition we now embrace in KU softball. Her hard work, mental toughness, and effervescent personality made her a team member others wanted to emulate. Tiffany was one of my first recruits from the fertile grounds of Berks County, establishing a recruiting base for the program's future. Her success helped put Kutztown softball on the PSAC championship map. Her screwball was feared among batters as she posted many strikeouts with that pitch. More importantly, not only was Tiffany a great student athlete, but a great person whom Kutztown University and our softball program can be proud," end quote. Here to assist Dr. Cevallos with the presentation of Tiffany's induction this morning into the KU Athletics Hall of Fame is family friend and former pitching coach Dan DeMarco. Let's welcome into the KU Athletic Hall of Fame, Tiffany Mattiuz Keller.
There we go. Two pictures.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to first thank Kutztown University and all of the members of the Hall of Fame Selection Committee. I have been hoping for this day since I graduated from Kutztown in the winter of 1996. As a student athlete, I often admired the Hall of Fame plaques of athletes past as I went to and from classes and practices in Keystone Hall and the Fieldhouse. Although I always hoped to be inducted, I never imagined this day would actually come. As a player, the focus was always one batter at a time, one inning, one game. I'm proud to have been part of such a successful team. Today I'm honored that you are recognizing and celebrating my efforts and contributions to the Kutztown University women's softball program. I'd also like to recognize and thank some other special people who have helped make this day possible. First, thank you to my parents, Gary and Sherry, for all of your support both on and off the softball field. Dad, I'm sure I have never officially thanked you for the countless hours you spent in the catcher's position, along with the many wild pitches you retrieved or blocked with your body. And Mom, I want you to know that although I always got a case of the giggles whenever you tried to catch with me, I did appreciate it, and I give you an A+ for effort. In addition, I'd also like to apologize to you both, especially Mom, for all those nail-biting innings when you couldn't sit and watch anymore, but instead had to pace in the parking lot. It didn't matter whether I pitched well or not, or if we won or lost the game, you were both always there in my corner, encouraging and supporting me. Thank you. Next, I'd like to thank Coach Judy Laws, Ray Swisher, and Ruth Hartman for allowing me to play for you. I learned a lot about the game of softball from all of you, as well as some valuable life lessons. Thank you for having confidence in me as a pitcher. I appreciate that in high-pressure game situations, you felt comfortable with me on the mound. And although some of those games were stressful, I think that is one of the things I miss most about playing, that great feeling of putting it all out there and succeeding. I also want to thank my husband, Sean. During my playing days at KU, we were engaged to be married. I could always count on you to be sitting on the bank watching the games. Even after a hard day at work when you probably would rather crash on the couch, you were there supporting me. And I'd like to thank my boys, Braden, Caleb, and Elijah. You weren't even born yet when I played at Kutztown, but even still, after each of you were born and I just wasn't ready to hang up the glove, you guys traveled to watch me play. Not like you really had a choice, but since you boys are all playing ball now, I still get to enjoy the thrill of the game. And last but certainly not least, I need to thank Dan DeMarco. You started working with me when I was in 9th grade. You were always there to develop me as a pitcher in high school, and then what a bonus when I came to KU and you were the pitching coach there as well. Although there were days when my performance on the mound was less than desirable, as a coach, you had to be hard on me in order to get the results that were expected. But at the end of the day, I always knew you still cared. I learned so much from you, Dan, and can never thank you enough. The successes I've experienced as a pitcher, I owe to you. You were and still are a great pitching coach, but more importantly, a great friend. Thank you again to the university and the selection committee. KU has given me an excellent education, wonderful memories, and now a day I'll never forget. Thank you.
Our second inductee is Cyndi Wasilius, class of 1993. Cyndi finished her career as Kutztown's all-time leading women's basketball scorer with 1,368 points, a total that still ranks 4th in the KU record book. She also set school records for field goals made and three-point field goals. Current KU assistant men's basketball coach and former KU women's basketball coach Tom York notes, quote, Cyndi was the best all-around player to ever play at Kutztown University. She could handle the ball, she could pass, and she could shoot from outside the arc, post up smaller guards, rebound at both ends, and defend bigger players. But most of all, she was a pleasure to coach and a true team leader. She is without a doubt a true Hall of Famer, end quote. Here to assist Dr. Cevallos with the presentation of Cyndi's induction this morning into the KU Athletics Hall of Fame is her mother, Patricia Wasilius. Let's welcome to the KU Athletic Hall of Fame from the class of 1993, Cyndi Wasilius.
One more, Mom.
I spent many hours across the street at the gym. I played basketball at a time when shorts came to the middle of your leg, not down to your knees. We wore white socks, we pushed them down. Our sneakers, we were in the middle of that black or white sneaker trend, and we did call them sneakers. A lot has changed over the years, and I'm sure the game is faster and more aggressive, but that Kutztown spirit is still alive. Whenever I was in the lobby at Keystone, waiting for the bus to go to a away game, or getting a drink after another set of suicides, I would look around at the pictures of the Hall of Famers and think, wow, if only. Well, if only seems to have come true. I feel honored with this nomination and selection into the Hall of Fame, and can easily say my accomplishments are partly a result of the time and efforts of many others. Don't get me wrong, I was there, but I still owe so much to so many. Maybe I don't still play basketball at the same level of competition, but Kutztown has provided me with essential skills to be successful on and off the court. Since graduation, I've been employed at Solanco School District as library department head, Unified Arts team leader, and a middle school's librarian. But I know we're here to talk about my time playing basketball at Kutztown, so I would like to share a special thanks to a few people. To Coach York, where's Coach York? There he is. For my first visit on campus, Coach, I knew I was going to come here, but I wouldn't tell you that. I just felt it was a fit from the very beginning. He always showed great belief in me. Right from the start, Coach gave me the green light to shoot. And so much so, I think it took me a good 3 years of playing in my student faculty game to not hear his voice behind me telling me to shoot. I learned a lot about the game from Coach, but I am even more grateful for the things I learned from him as a person. He put me in situations where I had to be a leader on and off the court, and I learned a lot of leadership skills from watching and listening to him through the years. Thanks to Coach Hahn. Unfortunately, he did double duty with the men's team, so he wasn't with us all the time. But we were always excited when we knew he would be on the sidelines. He had a great ability to say, this is what the other team is doing, this is what you need to do. He could analyze situations and be ready to respond quickly. Coach York and Coach Hahn worked well together to be sure we had what we needed during the games to get the job done. The whole team, and especially me, appreciated Coach Hahn's times and talents. I saw 3 assistant coaches during my tenure, Coach Kopp, Coach Sirota, and Coach Cole. Each acted as a great sounding board for us in different ways. We could go to them with problems, and ironically, each would provide us with information and options, but ultimately left decision-making to us, giving us many learning and growing moments. I learned a great deal from each of them as coaches, leaders, and as individuals. Thanks to my teammates, and especially my roommate, who was also my teammate. They were the women I was in the trenches with. We shared a lot of good times, as well as a lot of growing pains together. My teammates were great at pushing me to be better, constantly practicing hard, training hard, and sticking together, so we would not only be physically in shape, but be mentally ready. I do have to thank the library department. Although many laugh a little bit at me being a librarian, I have a great career as a librarian, and it's been because of the department at Kutztown, and they've been flexible with me with being able to play a sport also. And most importantly, to my family. Of course, I must thank my sisters, Joyce and Bridget, for allowing me to be the spoiled baby of the family, as they continue to remind me, and their sacrifices to support me in many things, such as helping me to practice my shooting down at Barney Farms, to cheering in the bleachers over at Keystone Hall. I followed in Joyce's footsteps in playing basketball, even though at first it didn't look very promising when I was spending more time at her games running up and down the bleachers. And I still remember climbing the bleachers, a different set of bleachers, and hugging Bridget in the stands after I scored my 1,000th point. We're not big huggers in the family, so that was a very memorable thing. To Joe, my favorite brother-in-law, he always keeps things light and keeps people smiling, and it's allowed us to do the same as a family. And still today. And most of all, I owe everything to my mom and dad, from playing horse with me in front of the garage until it was so dark we couldn't see the rim. And to being at most of my games, both the home and away games. I always knew there'd be 2 people in the stands cheering for me. Mom telling me good job and yelling at the refs, and Dad telling me to be more aggressive. Ironically, he was a very passive person. I know this day would have meant a lot to him, and it's a little bittersweet since his passing last year. But together, they've given me unconditional support, time and effort, and of course, love. Thanks for everything. I share this award with you. I will always cherish this recognition and hope that one day a future basketball player will see my picture hanging and say, what if? Thank you.
Our next inductee is Glenn Woolard Jr., the 2002 Rawlings Division II Player of the Year and the ABCA Pitcher of the Year. Glenn Woolard was one of the best pitchers in Kutztown University history. He was named the most valuable player of the 2002 PSAC tournament and was both the PSAC and ECAC South Player of the Year. Woolard was named an All-American that season as well. He was then drafted by the San Francisco Giants in the 10th round of the 2002 Major League Baseball draft. Chris Bloom, current head baseball coach here at Kutztown, said this: Glenn Woolard was easily the #1 reason Kutztown earned a right to the World Series in his junior year. The dedication from year to year in off-season training, conditioning, and attitude allowed Glenn to achieve a remarkable award in being named NCAA Player of the Year and was rewarded with being selected in the Major League Draft by the San Francisco Giants. His opponents probably phrased it best when they said Glenn was easily the toughest pitcher they ever had to face. Here to assist Dr. Cevallos with the presentation of Glenn's induction this morning into the KU Athletics Hall of Fame is head coach Chris Bloom. Let's welcome into the KU Hall of Fame, Glenn Woolard Jr.
want to thank Bloomy for those kind words. If we weren't in this setting, he might say otherwise about me. I arrived here at Kutztown University in the fall of 1999. I chose Kutztown because of its location, its proximity to my home. I could have my family at the baseball games, which is crucial for my dad and my stepfather, Schmitt. My best friend was also going to be my roommate, which didn't turn out too well. And I was also attending school on a partial scholarship. When I arrived here at Kutztown, I had a bit of an inflated ego from my success at Coatesville. We were a powerhouse at the time, and I won multiple awards down there. So I came in thinking I was big man on campus, and in fact, I was very wrong. I didn't know much about being a student athlete at the time, and I did not know much about the PSAC competition I was about to face. So coming in as a top recruit and sort of a big ego, the fall-winter conditioning program was a good smack in the face. I couldn't pass the 2-mile run. I struggled with the 400-meter sprints, and I could not finish what we called the loop without walking. It was a circuit that ran around the baseball field and along 222. I couldn't finish that without walking. I chose party time instead of study time. I actually failed my speech class, and which, if I would have paid attention and passed, would have been invaluable on a day like today. So I narrowly escaped ineligibility. My baseball season was also not very stellar. Even though I started the season 5-0, ended up 5-3, an ERA over 5. Compared that to my last year of high school, where I was 11-0 with a .97. So not only had I not achieved what I wanted to in the classroom, but also had personal lows for losses in a season. My worst ERA I ever had, and my invincible pitch at the time, the knuckle curve, was defeated by a grand slam to lose a game. So the first season, we ended up losing the last 7 games, and we didn't have any postseason. And at the end of that season, Coach Royer, Coach Bloom sat me down in the office, and I actually had to plead to keep my scholarship due to my poor performance on the field and in the classroom. My sophomore year was more promising. I had a good off-season, getting stronger with weight training and conditioning. Also, at the same time that September, my oldest daughter, Adelina, was born in that fall semester. I earned the number 3 spot in the pitching rotation behind Tim Boucher and Danny Nelson. And to this day, myself, Bloom, you'll attest to it, I think Timmy had probably one of the best curveballs on planet Earth. We managed to win the PSAC that season, came in second in the state, and we actually hosted regionals that year, which was bittersweet because when we won, we were able to clinch on our very own home field. A memory that stood out about that game when we clinched was we were pretty hyped up. It was 2 outs in the 9th inning. We're about to go to Kutztown's first ever World Series, and pop up to right field. We're actually running on the field at this point. We see Lowers rubbing his eyes, and the ball drops. So we're basically past the third baseline, ready to celebrate, and he drops the ball. And later on, they found out that he was so overwhelmed with the thought of going to the World Series, he was actually crying in the outfield. So we did end up winning that game, made our first World Series appearance, ended up that season 9-5, 3-4, and several league honors. And at the end of that year, Coach Royer, Coach Bloom sat me down again like the previous season, and they told me that if and only if I gave every ounce of what I had in the off season, that I did actually have the potential to play professional baseball like Rosic and Vogelsong and Fitch did before me. So my junior season, I gave everything I absolutely had in the off-season, lifting weights, conditioning with my personal trainer Tim, and my friend Matt, who was a Millersville rival and in the Cleveland Indians system at the time. The workouts were so intense that at certain times I actually blacked out. I vomited, I collapsed from exhaustion, and I continued that vigorous cycle throughout the entire summer break and the winter vacation. The end result was ended up gaining 20 pounds of muscle and 5 miles an hour on a fastball, which, if I can kind of relate that to track, it'd be like if you were running a 5-minute mile, I went to a 4-minute mile. It was a really significant improvement. So after all that hard work, my first game of the year was in Barton, North Carolina in February, and after months of that gut-wrenching training, I was humbled with a 4-inning disaster. I allowed 6 earned runs. At one point, their bats were hitting the ball so hard and so loud, it sounded like wedding bells. Like, it was just insane. So after that game, I vowed not to feel like that ever again, and after that, I ended up going close to 4 months without losing another game. I'm a terrible sport at handling losing. Even to this day, my wife will attest to that. Even if it's checkers, coloring, or building a block tower with my 2-year-old or 12-year-old daughter, I have to win or build the biggest tower. During that season, I wasn't really on any professional scouts list until a tournament in Newport News, Virginia. And it just happened that a half dozen scouts were there to see the opposing pitcher. And I ended up throwing a great game and put up some good numbers on the radar gun. So the following week was I believe our not home opener, but conference opener in Westchester. And to my surprise, every scout from every major league team showed up. So my nerves were jittery, to say the least. My first pitch of the game and also my second pitch of the game was 93, which was personal best, but they were also into the middle of the backstop and over the catcher's head. So we ended up having a fantastic year that season. We won the PSAC East. The state title versus Cal at Boyertown was a game that stood out in my mind, where I threw a complete game, 178 pitches, which that was Coach Royer, says Bloomy here. I think that should be a record somewhere, but I remember after that last pitch bursting into tears from joy and exhaustion, hugging Coach Royer, Coach Bloom, my stepfather, and my dad. We went on to win the region for the second year in a row, and we made a second consecutive trip to the College World Series in Alabama, and basically proving that we weren't a fluke. I think that was the most significant thing from that doing it 2 years in a row proved that we were actually a force. And then jokingly, we were hopeful that they would pronounce the university name this time, because we heard every variation of Kutztown University you can imagine down south. I was very proud to have pitched in the College World Series and be a part of Kutztown's very first win that year. And like it was stated earlier, I did end up winning Division II Player of the Year, which to me was always the award that set me back the most, because when you think Player of the Year, you think of an everyday player, and out of the 60 games we played, I only took part in maybe 18 of those. So that one always set me back. I was drafted by San Francisco in 2002. I played 2 seasons with them, short A, low A. I was then traded to Milwaukee Brewers, and I played high A, double A, triple A, and actually broke camp with the major league team in 2005. And I set foot in Miller Park in 2005, and I would have to say that's the pinnacle of my baseball career. Always, when I tell the story, it was kind of, I described the scene from The Rookie where he shows up to the locker room, and I remember seeing Prince Fielder's jersey, Jeff Jenkins, Carlos Lee, Ben Sheets, and then some absurd high number because I'm a nobody, and then Glenn Woolard. It was pretty surreal. That was pretty cool. And then throughout all the major league movies, the first guy I meet in Milwaukee was Bob Uecker. So if you can imagine his voice saying, "Hey there, Tribes fans," and then the first thing he says, "Hey there, Glenn Woolard." It was insane. Ultimately, 2005, that same season, was the last year of my professional baseball career due to a rotator cuff tear, labrum tear, bicep tendon tear. So that pretty much spelled the end of my pitching career. It took about a year and a half to fully recover, fully gain strength. In 2007, I enlisted in the Army, passed Special Operations Ranger training, completed 3 deployments to Afghanistan, conducted over 200 high-risk night raids of high-value targets. 2009, I married my longtime college sweetie, Lucy, and after 13 years it took, I guess. My second daughter, Leah, was born just this past year in 2011. She'll be 2 soon. I'm currently attending the Allentown Police Academy. I graduate December 7th of this year, so I'm going to take a stab at the law enforcement. So after all that said, there's a lot of people I'd like to thank. Schmitt for always treating me like a son, providing me with everything I've ever needed. And countless hours of playing catch and practicing baseball ever since I could walk. Sorry. My dad, he couldn't make it today. He's down in Alabama, but for 18 plus years, he would drive 40 to 60 miles to be with me every weekend, pushing me to make me better. Coach Bloom, Coach Royer, for giving me a chance to prove myself. I'm sorry. And believing in me and making me a better person on and off the field. And finally, a little bit of humor here. My brother and sister for being on the receiving end of some lopsided backyard baseball games when I was 20 versus them being 12. So I never held back. They were seeing some high heat at 12 years old. My wife, she's been there for the 12 years of ups and downs and raising 2 kids when I couldn't be there. Jack, who's the head trainer here, he kept us healthy, had a fantastic arm strength program. Alex for coordinating everything. I pushed every deadline to the limit with him. And finally, Kutztown for selecting me to be part of the school's tremendous athletic history. And there's many others who contributed to my success throughout high school, college, and baseball, but also want to say congrats to every single Hall of Fame inductee today. Your numbers are truly fantastic as well. And if anything comes of this, hopefully it's that I've set a benchmark for future players and someone to come in and say, I'm going to beat everything that this Woolard guy did. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Megan Seefeldt Carson, class of 2002, was Kutztown's first PSAC cross-country champion, helping the Golden Bears to a 3rd place finish as a junior to earn PSAC Athlete of the Year. Ray Hoffman, current head men's, women's track and field and cross-country coach at Kutztown, sent a message for Megan. Coach Hoffman apologizes that he could not be with us today, but his cross-country team is competing in Lock Haven for the NCAA Atlantic Regional. Coach Hoffman said, quoting, "I often credit Megan as the athlete who jump-started our women's cross-country program. As a sophomore, she qualified for the NCAA championships and became an All-American. On the plane ride home from the national meet in Joplin, Missouri, she looked at me and said, 'Coach, next year we're getting the team out here.' That next year, in 2000, KU's first ever women's cross-country team qualified for the NCAA national championships. To date, 6 more teams and numerous individuals have qualified for the NCAA championships. Megan's story is told every year during preseason camp. She is often referred by team members now as the queen of Kutztown University cross country. I'm not sure if Megan will ever understand the impact she made on me, her teammates, and on those who now compete in the maroon and gold. She has made a lasting impression on our program. Congratulations on your induction. I'm so very proud of you," end quote. Here to assist Dr. Cevallos with the presentation of Megan's induction this morning into the KU Athletics Hall of Fame is Megan's mother, Mary Ann Seefeldt. Let's welcome to the KU Athletic Hall of Fame from the class of 2002, Megan Sefelt Carson.
I was going to begin by just thanking everyone, but I didn't realize I had such a nickname, so now I feel like I have to live up to it. But I do want to just thank the Hall of Fame committee for this honor. Thank you. But I would not be standing here today if I didn't have certain individuals in my life. I feel very lucky and blessed for my family, my friends, who are also my teammates, and coaches, all of whom have inspired and pushed me to be the best that I could be, and have shown me unconditional love and support. First, I want to thank all the coaches in the room, and all the coaches that I've ever had. I had remarkable, dedicated coaches ever since my elementary T-ball debut. I've been lucky, and today my high school coach is here, Art Harrington, and I was very blessed in high school to have him. Coaching is not easy. It's very time consumable and often gives little pay to the amount of time a coach gives. With that said, a coach's spouse also needs a pat on the back, because it takes teamwork at home to make a good coach. So thank you to all the coaches' spouses as well. A good coach makes athletes better as both athletes and individuals. Coach Ray Hoffman, who is the current head cross country and track coach at KU and was my coach here at Kutztown, made me a better athlete and person. I remember my very first college cross country race that was here at KU. I was running right behind my friend and teammate Eunice. Eunice was from Kenya and she ran like a gazelle. I finished in the top 10 and was the second KU runner right behind Eunice. I was so proud of myself and really surprised. Coach Ray came over to me after the race. I thought he was going to tell me how proud he was of me, but he didn't. He asked me why I didn't go around Eunice. I stood there with a look of shock. He thought I could have passed Eunice, who was from Kenya. Coach Ray changed me. He made me a better runner and a better person. He taught me to challenge myself. From that day forward, I pushed beyond where I ever thought I could. Coach Ray helped me to find out what I was made of. T.S. Eliot was once quoted saying, "Only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far they can go." Mind over matter. Once you are beat mentally, you might as well not even go to the starting line. That was something I learned pretty quick. It is important to believe in yourself, and Coach Ray helped me by pushing me. Secondly, I want to thank my former teammates from both Kutztown and from high school, some of whom are here today and I consider lifelong friends, Maria and Jamie and Melissa in the back. Many of the memories that I hold on to from high school and college are the memories that I share with my friends. I don't remember all my personal records or where I ran the best. What I remember is the laughter and the tears that we had together. I remember feeling that I had a home away from home, and that home was with my friends and teammates. So thank you for being such wonderful, amazing friends. Lastly, I want to thank my family. I'm lucky and blessed to have the family that I do. Here with me today is my wonderful husband, Brian, and our son, Austin, his parents, Gerald and Joanne Carson, who I call Dad and Mom Carson. I couldn't ask for better in-laws. And I'm not just saying that because they're here today. They love me and I do love them. They did a fabulous job raising a son who's honest, loving, and funny. I'm lucky. Also, my Uncle Joe and my Aunt Mary, who is my godmother, are here today. They have always been there for my family. I appreciate and love them as well. Lastly, I want to thank my mom, who is standing, well, she was supposed to be standing here with me today, so I can't read that part. My father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's when I was 10 years old, and he passed away 7 years later. It was through his sickness and death that helped me to understand the meaning of love. It was my mother's endless love of my brother, sister, and I, and my father that carried our entire family. Now, as a woman in my 30s, I look back and I marvel at my childhood. How did my mom do it all? She worked full-time, raised 3 children, took care of my ailing father, and kept an optimistic attitude and had a love of life mindset. Today I'm married with a husband that helps out. I work full-time and sometimes I don't know if I can do it, but she did it all. My mother rarely missed a game, a race, a concert, or an activity that my brother and my sister were involved in. She was not only our mother, but she was also our guidance counselor, our nurse, our coach, and a friend. She was a wife and caretaker as well. She made us believe in the power of love. She made the pain of my father's sickness and death easier. Our sense of security and love we felt from our mother was strong. We consider and still consider ourselves today as being lucky and blessed for all that we had. And what was it that we had? It was unconditional love. It was the same love that I felt here at Kutztown. It was the same kind of love that just fills you up and makes you whole. My family and Kutztown gave me that unconditional love that I consider to be a blessing. And I learned that all through my mother's actions before I even got here to Kutztown. So Mom, thank you. And thank you to all my friends and former teammates and coaches for all that you have done. I would not be standing up here today if it was not for you. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Paul Schmitt from the class of 2002. Paul is one of the most decorated pole vaulters in Kutztown history. As a senior in 2001, he was the ECAC indoor champion, setting a meet record with a height of 16 feet 7 3/4 inches. He went on that season to earn All-American honors at the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships, tying his own school record by topping 16 8 3/4 to finish third. Paul's former coach and fellow Hall of Fame inductee Brian Munshine notes, quote, "Part of the success of a track and field program is in its public relations. In that sense, Paul really helped put Kutztown on the map. People would see us coming down to the wire with the traditional D1 powers in the 4x400, and then they would look over and see Paul winning the vault. People knew we were for real," end quote. Here to assist Dr. Cevallos with the presentation of Paul's induction this morning into the KU Athletics Hall of Fame is former KU assistant track and field coach, friend, and a member of 5 Halls of Fame, including the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association, Hall of Famer Irv Munshine. Let's welcome into the KU Athletics Hall of Fame, Paul Schmitt from the class of 2002.
Okay, add me. All right? Yeah, you can. I'll make it.
It takes a Hall of Famer to take a picture with a Hall of Famer. I don't know. Thank you all for coming here today. Wow, I've got you all right where I want you. Glenn, that was long, but that was good though. You know, it was awesome. I don't feel bad about running over time or anything. And Coach has been writing his speech like, the last half hour, so the shorter I am, the longer he's going to be. All right. I would first like to start off by saying thank you for this honor. Thank you to my coaches, my teammates for being part of my journey here at KU. Why are we here? Motivation, inspiration, determination. Being it from a parent, a sibling, a coach, a friend, or ourselves, we all had a reason. Some driving force in your life that made you want to be better at whatever you did. For some, it started young with our first baseball mitt or a pair of running shoes or maybe like a small basketball hoop. For me, growing up consisted of things such as climbing trees, rope swings, riding my bike through fire, water skiing, jumping off barns. Really, pole vaulting was the next, logical step. My first year at Kutztown, it's probably safe to say that I jumped more for myself than I did for my team. I treated track like an individual job because it's an individual sport mainly. I trained hard, and when I won, my coach and I won. That was great. It worked in high school, and that's how it was going to be in college, I thought. Then after a great indoor winning season my freshman year, I injured my ankle and was unable to compete in spring. And at that time I suffered. My grades suffered, I missed practice, and I missed being a part of the team. And I've missed hanging out with Moon, because, you know, it's Moon. I'd like to say that the next year was a complete turnaround. I was a different person, but as the years go on, my memory gets fuzzy. After sophomore year, things changed, and I felt like I began to meld a lot more with my teammates, and Coach started encouraging me more, saying things like, "You wouldn't sound like such a jerk all the time if you spoke less." And then he would say, you know, "Paul, you're regressing. You need to be a better person." So I thank you for that. But regardless of all that, I finally started working with my team, not just next to my team. We motivated each other, excelled together, only losing one championship while being part of Coach Munshine's team. It was all great fun, an awesome part of my life, and you know, if we could time travel back, I'd do it in a second. I could stand up here all day and spin yarns about good times had, team bonding experiences, how Christy Brain and I won the swing dance competition at the Freaky Tiki in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I still have my t-shirt. Or when Miller would always freak out before every race that he ran, no matter what, you couldn't talk to him. Or how every guy on the team had a crush on Amanda Schaefer or Louise Sawyer at one point or another in their track and field career. And Moon. If you've ever spent any time with Moon, you know, enough said. Moon told me a story one time when he was going over to the Olympics in 44, was it? 48. Where, you know, they took a boat to the Olympics in 48 because they didn't fly the team over there. And they just lifted their butts off on the boat to impress, you know, the next guy next door. And that's just awesome. I feel, you know, immense, what's the word I'm looking for, Coach? Gratitude. Gratitude, yeah, there you go, for having been here and been a part of you guys. The important thing, all in all, as time winds down on me here, is I came to Kutztown, a loudmouth pole vaulter from New York. First athlete ever to be banned from speaking in the training room. True story, because I would come in there and start fights with everybody other, you know, team. Oh, football is no fun. Track and field, you know. So yeah, for a whole week I couldn't talk. I'd be in there doing my rehab. You're not talking. My teammate and roommate Chris Miller would introduce me to his friends and say, "Hey, this is Paulie. It takes 5 years to get to like him." But with the inspiration and the guidance from Brian, Carl, Moon, and my teammates, by the time I graduated, I feel I've matured enough. I've knocked that number down to 3 years, so I feel good about that. Again, I'm very honored and I guess proud to be placed in the Hall of Fame with the rest of you people here today. I enjoyed my time at KU, and I'm happy for what it gave me. I come back here every year to help coach camp, and I'm just amazed at what it's turned into from 2002. I'm like, why couldn't it be like this when I was here? But, you know, some kid will come back in 20 years and be like, oh my God, that's so much better. Finally, I'd like to thank my parents, for without the love and support they gave me throughout my life, I would have never made it this far. And at this point, I'd like to take my time, and if any other athletes want to come up and say a word or two about Coach that they might not get to in future things, bring it right now. Don't be shy. Glenn took like 20 minutes. I took like 7.5. Brad, I think you wanted to. Anybody else? Last but not least, all roads lead from Kutztown, and all roads always lead to home. So never forget that. Thank you.
Our final inductee this morning is Brian Munshine. Coach Munshine spent 14 years as head coach of the track and field programs and turned the Golden Bears into a dominant force in the PSAC and ECAC. In 14 years, the team won 18 conference titles, had 90 individual conference champions, and 38 All-America honors. At this time, we would also like to recognize all of Coach Munshine's former student athletes who were able to be with us today that were members of the following championships. If you were a part of this team, please stand. On the men's side, PSAC top performances, outdoor champions, 1996, 1998, 2000, 2001, 2002. ECAC championships indoor, 1995, 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000, and 2001. On the women's side, PSAC top performances, 1997 and 2000 outdoors, 2004, 2005 indoor, 2005 outdoor, 2006 indoor, and ECAC conference championships indoor 2001. Here to assist Dr. Cevallos with the presentation of Coach Munshine's induction this morning into the KU Athletics Hall of Fame is one of his former student athletes and a current track and field coach himself, Brad Fickthorne. Let's welcome into the KU Athletic Hall of Fame, Coach Brian Munshine.
This way, just a little bit. There we go.
Well, this is good. I'm at the page where it says closing remarks, Greg Bamberger. So, by the way, do my glasses make me look old? Because I'm going to wear them because I can't really see anything down here. All right. Thanks, first of all, for all the people who make these events possible. The Hall of Fame Committee and the Kutztown Athletic Administration and staff. And congratulations to the inductees, both current and past. It's an honor to be inducted here with such a mix of great athletes and great people. And that makes it even more special. I've been inducted into a few halls of fame, mostly as an athlete. I always felt like a list of one's accomplishments was little more than a list of the situations a person happened to fall into. Sort of a right place, right time thing. Coaching is a little like that. You recruit the right athletes, you train them in a way that they get a little better, and all of a sudden, you're vying for conference championships. On top of that, you surround yourself with the best assistants you can get for the absolute least amount you can pay them. And by the way, those people are out there. They're generally people who really want to coach, or they're people who don't have much financial sense. But you get a few of them on your staff, and you've got a mechanism in place for success. I've had a great group of assistants. They know who they are. In fact, some of them are in the room with us. And I would name them, but that would take the focus off me, and I don't want to do that. When things were going well, I sometimes used to think that mostly my part was just to hang around, and when someone did something great, I'd run down and hug them because it made me look involved. I'm not particularly good at being modest, so I should probably admit that I think I'm a pretty good coach. And for that, I have to thank my coaches at Washington, Dixon Farmer, and Ken Shannon, my post-collegiate coach, Tom Telez, and of course, my dad. I learned a great deal from all of them. But the most important thing I learned from my dad, and that was the more you give of yourself, the more you get back. I do think I managed to follow my dad's lead and I managed to do it without telling all the dirty jokes. I was trying to think of my greatest success or memory during my time at KU. I'm certainly proud of the accomplishments of our athletes, the performances of our teams, but one moment stands out for me. We had an athlete transfer from Fairfield University in Connecticut, a chemistry major. He and I went over a possible schedule for his first semester, something that was frowned upon by faculty advisors. But we looked up his classes and saw which ones were still available. Unfortunately, he told his advisor that his coach had helped pick his classes, something which AD at the time, Clark Yeager, took flack for at the faculty senate meeting. Clark asked the professor if the courses were appropriate, and the professor replied that the student could not have picked a better schedule. Clark told me later that when he heard that, he knew it was me who had helped that student with their schedule. That was 15 years ago, but it seems like yesterday. And I know that's pretty lame as a coaching memory, so I'm not gonna let that serve as what you remember me by. I just wanna use it to wrap up with. In looking back, I guess I'm a pretty good example that things in life don't necessarily go as we plan. But all the things that happened to me brought me to Kutztown. In 1993, I sat in an office in Old Main with VP Denny Roth. And then I walked around the campus, which incidentally looks nothing like it does now. And at one point I said to myself, I want this job. I want this school. And I don't give a damn about the money. Well, I actually had no idea I was that smart 20 years ago, because Kutztown was the best thing that ever happened to me. I love the school, I love all the kids I coached, and one thing I do know for certain is that for everything I gave this school, I got back a hell of a lot more in return. Thank you for this honor.
After we are finished here today, Coach Munshine, his assistant coaches that are here, and all of his former athletes that have come back today, please stick around. We want to get a group picture of everybody. So if you can do that once we're finished, just meet up here, that'd be great. Before I turn it over to Greg, I'd like to have our 6 inductees please stand up, face our audience, and let's welcome them into the KU Athletics Hall of Fame. Congratulations to each and every one of you on your honor today. And now to close the program, please welcome Kutztown University's Director of Athletics, Greg Bamberger.
Steve? Sorry, Greg. Thanks, Paul. That's okay. It's not about me. This is probably my 7th or 8th one of these since I've been the AD here. And I usually never know what I'm going to say until I hear what all the inductees say. And it's fine. It's funny because the common theme that you hear, obviously, is love, number one. You hear that of your coach, your teammates, the university, and it's always great to hear that. It's always great to hear that. But you also hear about how a coach made a difference in my life, whoever it might have been. Coach York, your father, obviously, and himself, of course. Right, Brian? And that makes you feel good, that you choose the profession that you choose. Okay? My profession before I became an administrator was a coach. And we have a handful of our coaches here, and I would like to recognize them very briefly. Okay? Coach Judy Laws, our softball coach, is with us. Coach Tom York, assistant men's basketball coach. Our head football coach is in the back of the room. Coach Monica decided to come today. and of course, our head baseball coach, Coach Bloom. And it's always good to have them here and to hear the words that the inductees give back and the reason why they're sitting here today. I have a number of thank yous I'd like to make. Number one, Alex Ojika and the Office of Alumni Engagement, underneath the leadership of Jason Ketter and the KU Foundation. Thank you for your support of this event and this program. Matt Santos in University Relations and his staff under the leadership of John Green, our Associate VP of Marketing and Advancement. Thank you for your support. And obviously, ultimately, Dr. Cevallos and the administration. We also have Mr. Jerry Silberman, Vice President of Business and Finances, with us today, and I hope I didn't miss any other administrators, but thank you for your support of the athletic program and ultimately the success that these student athletes received. Congratulations once again to the inductees, to Tiffany, Cyndi, Glenn, Megan, Paul, and Brian. On behalf of the athletic department, we couldn't thank you enough for your efforts, helping get Kutztown on the map in a lot of different ways. Obviously, you should be very, very proud of your accomplishments. We are very proud of your accomplishments. Thank you for coming back and sharing these kind words with all of us, and hope everybody has a great day. Thank you very much.